Hey y'all, shooting at night for the first time, and gonna try something a little different today. I usually say that because I'm always doing different things. So before we get started, let me preheat my teapot. Some glare from the light. I'm gonna have to watch out for that next time. It makes everything look kind of trippy. Well, let's just run with it for now. So I'm using this modern Junie or Hongni teapot. It's not real Junie. I'm kind of doubtful that anything that's coming out today is Junie unless you really get hooked up and really spend some money. Apparently there are still pockets of Junie found now, and there is still Junie clay around, but I think a lot of it is just modern clay that's misrepresented and it's blended to approximate Hongni. I mean Junie of old. So I don't call any modern clay Junie. I haven't actually seen any that I would actually call Junie either in person. I've seen pictures of stuff that really looks like it, but again, I don't know if it really is, or it's just, a very good copy or imitation of what the clay should look like. So, I already preheated this pot under the faucet, and now I'm preheating again. And I'm gonna drink some ripe pu'er, some Dayi ripe from my own storage. I already broke into this cake. I've already tried it, and it's been stored here for around 3 years. And I just very recently, maybe a few months ago, put it into this bag in my glass cabinet in my bedroom where I store my personal pu'er stash. So the bag should help trap aroma, and this is the test. Like, humidity in my bedroom can climb too high for tea to taste right in summer because it's just holding too much water to actually taste right. And I have to dry it out usually for it to taste right, either by seasonal fluctuation or by leaving it out of the cabinet. So this is an 0532 Dayi cake from 2008, I believe. Yep, and this is the 802 edition, so it's the second batch of the year, which is a little bit more economical. And I'm gonna use this this cup that I randomly bought because I like the design on it. It's kids around the goldfish bowl, and there's a dragon coming out of the bowl, and there's a Chinese inscription there. And this basically describes a poem from the Song Dynasty. The second part of the poem says that fish become dragons, and basically it means that change is inevitable. So it's a cool little cup. It says longevity and prosperity on the other side. So very traditional Chinese motifs and some cool artwork that describes a very old poem, either 12th or 13th century. So I've got a bit of leaf stuck in the spout from my last session here, apparently. I'm going to have to pick it out before we get started. I should probably move the cake too, because it's in the way. I'll do that after I fill the teapot. Okay. So yeah, that's one issue with these single hole teapots. Leaves get trapped in there. That looks like a raw pu'er or oolong. Actually, it looks like Taiwanese oolong. Could be dongding. So let's put that in here into the tray. And let's load the teapot. I really like this teapot because the lid skirt's nice and long, and I'm really fond of long lid skirts like that, since it looks like an old Mengchen type teapot. Like a real Junie teapot, even though this isn't real Junie. So the show, I already had a chunk here, and it broke up very, very easily. I just snapped it. So plenty of humidity in this tea, still. Smells slightly sweet. Now this teapot's got a pretty narrow mouth, so got to break the tea up a little bit just to get it in there. Okay. Let's put this cake away. It smells good. It smells nice and mellow, but it's still got character, which hopefully translates to flavor in the cup, because it might not actually be all that flavorful if it's holding too much humidity. These bags do breathe through the zipper, so it's possible that there's too much humidity in the tea, even though we've had drier weather than is usual for October this year. Humidity's been in the 60 to 70% range for a lot of the days, which is highly unusual. Okay, so I'm only going to rinse once because I trust 2008 Dayi, and I've stored this tea myself since it arrived from Kunming 3 years ago. It was stored extremely dry by a very large wholesaler, so it was definitely not something you'd want to drink when it first came in 2015, but sorry, 2016. But it should be a lot better today. The last session I had with it was great. I didn't go back to look at my notes because I don't want to influence my experience today. I just want to see if the bag helps preserve aroma and prevents the tea from getting too wet when you get fluctuations. So let's see how it performs today. Okay, so that's it for the rinse. Let's pour that out. This pot's got a good pour. I think it's around 180 to 200 ml. I don't know the exact volume offhand. I don't remember. Nor does it matter to me with pu'er because I don't brew with precise ratios anyway. I kind of go by feel. And I've been doing it for a long time now, 7 years or so. So I kind of just know. Do I sometimes use more or less leaf than I'd like? Yes. But much less often than I used to. And I feel like switching up the amount of leaf actually helps me try the tea in a different manner. Like each different session with different amounts of leaf and different volumes of pots, like it shows me a different side of the tea. So it's actually not a bad thing. It can actually be pretty educational. You need to push tea a little hard to see what's really going on. So I do like to do that by using more leaf and extending infusions. So I use more leaf than a lot of people, and I use longer infusions than most Western drinkers do. Okay, and you'll find that's common here in the Far East. Chinese people tend to use much longer infusions, especially older Chinese people. Nowadays, things are changing up a little bit, but I still find the old ways to give me the best results, and I have tried brewing the new way. I started off that way and had worse results. And it's only when I started extending my infusions the way that I saw people around me doing it that I had good results. And most of these people were vendors here in Taiwan and on the mainland. So yeah, you'll find that what people tell you to do online and what people do online can sometimes be very different from what's actually done in places where tea is produced and sold at wholesale in the country of origin. Okay, so I'm going to give this some time because that rinse was pretty light. This tea is going to take a while to open up, it looks like. So let's give it some time. I like my show nice and strong. And this is a pretty flavorful recipe. I think I got notes of almond from it last time, so let's see what we get today. And yeah, I'm using Hongni because I want to see what the tea has to give, and I want to see how this pot performs with show pu'er as well. Even though it's red clay, it is slightly muting, more muting than my Factory 1 stuff, surprisingly, even though it's very high-fired. So it's got a nice high-pitched noise to it. You can't really hear it now because the teapot's full. Alright, let's see how the liquor looks now. Oh, sorry, liqueur. I almost said liqueur. I've been looking at Italian liqueurs for the last few days because my girlfriend's in Italy. But she couldn't get what I was asking for, unfortunately, since I asked for unusual stuff that isn't as easily found. Okay, so liqueur looks nice and dark. Liqueur. I'm gonna mix up those words today, apparently. Yeah, nice and dark. That's the way I like it. Still getting that glare from the lighting overhead, so maybe I won't do an evening video again, unless you guys like the chirpy acid effect. Some of you might. Okay, so yeah, looking good, nice and dark. Did I do that already? I think I did. Anyway, moving on. Let's try this out. Very sweet. Actually more aromatic than the last time I had it, which means the bag was a good idea. It was worth putting it in the bag. And I'm going to do that when the other teas in my cabinet are ready. When I feel they're ready, I'm going to put them in bags because it stops the tea from holding too much moisture or losing too much moisture. So very pleasant, sweet aromatics, kind of like jujube fruit, which is a Chinese date. Doesn't taste like a Western date. Kind of, sort of, but also very different. It's a lovely. It's doing very well in this teapot. Nice bit of bitterness in the finish, but it balances beautifully with the tea. I'm getting a nice calming effect as well. Yeah, this is lovely, actually. Let's close that up because I have the air conditioning on and I don't want the tea to cool down too much. Very, very aromatic today. So the bag definitely was a good idea. I wasn't sure if it would be, so this is a good test. I'm going to have to put everything into bags now. Almost everything. Stuff that needs more time is going to stay out of bags, and it needs time to break down and decompose to where it's pleasant to drink. So only stuff that's ready will go into bags. But that's what I'm going to do in the fall. I'm going to drink through my pu'er stash and see what's ready to go into bags and what isn't. So yeah, surprisingly bitter compared to my last session, but not unpleasantly bitter at all, unless you don't like bitterness. But for me, it's very nicely balanced. This tea will mellow out with more time, of course, but for now it's still very much drinkable to me and very pleasant, very light. I can feel it going down to my tummy, but it's smooth and pleasant. So it's at a nice point after 3 years. Take another couple of years, we'll do much more for this tea, and I'd be interested to see how it performs after a few more years. Some slight bready notes, like fresh bread, which is something I find in my own stores. So, very nice. Vanilla aromatics on the cup, on the nose. I do translate to the cup as well, into the liqueur. So, yeah, I'm having a pretty good experience with this tea. It's very calming as well. So not a bad choice at all. Let me know what you guys think of the trippy effect. I don't think I'll do another video at night since I should be drinking tea this late anyway. But I don't think it'll keep me up. Okay. So I filled a little early, so I'd be ready to pour right after I finish that infusion. And that's where we're at. So I don't want the water to cool down because the air conditioning is going and it's blowing onto the kettle. So it will definitely cool things down. And we top back up. So we're ready after I finish what's in the Gong Tao Bei. Oops. And we'll pour a little water over, give it a little heat spike since it's a relatively short infusion. Little leaf stuck there. Yeah, this teapot has a very tight fitting lid, so any scrap of leaf between the lid and the rim of the teapot will cause it to stick up a little. Okay, let's see what we have now. Nice and dark again. That's how I like my show, and it's brewing up just right today. Not too dark, not too light either. Just right. Nice and hot as well. So, different this time. A bit less sweetness and less bitterness as well. By sweetness, I mean sweetness of aroma. Not actual sweetness on the palate. Slightly more herbaceous this time, but not very. Still jujube, but lighter in intensity this time. So maybe it just needs a little more time. We'll see what happens after, in the third infusion, I mean. So yeah, similar aromatics to the first infusion, but mellower, less intensely sweet as far as aroma, and slightly more savory. Maybe herbaceous wasn't the right word. It's slightly more savory than it was in the previous infusion. The toned down bitterness is pleasant though. It's not as bitter as the previous one was. The last one was a punch in the face. Well, in the mouth rather, because it tasted pretty intense. It wasn't unpleasant by any means, but it was potent. Getting some age notes there as well, which I don't remember from last time. So that's interesting. Okay, I got a little bit left in the pitcher, but I'm going to reserve that and then pour the next infusion on. Okay, nice and dark again. And this teapot actually works really well with show. I think it's the first time I've tried it with show, and it's doing a wonderful job. Still a nice chunk in there that hasn't fully opened up, which is why I like longer infusions with pu'er, because you need time for the stuff to expand. Okay. I'm getting very, very, very relaxed from this stuff. I told someone yesterday that Dayi 7572, I can feel a prominent, a pronounced effect from it, and they didn't agree. So I definitely get the same effect, same kind of effect from this tea as well. Well stored Dayi show, not wet storage and not excessively dry, has really lovely energy to me. And this stuff's extremely relaxing, and I'm getting a slight dissociative effect as well. That's interesting. So very pleasant. It's still got body to it. It's still got some thickness as well, which can age out with shokuware with time. Like show can get incredibly thin over several decades, to the point where it's slipperier and smoother than water, and that's a very desirable trait in pu'er traditionally, with aged pu'er, back when no one drank it young. So yeah, I think this stuff is aging well and will continue to age well. I can't wait to see how it does in a couple of years, because I haven't really aged any show that long. I've got a few that I've aged for 4 or 5 years maybe, but nothing incredibly long yet. Very sweet aromatics on the nose. Almost candy-like, which I definitely haven't had from this tea before. So the bag definitely has helped this tea out a great deal. And I'm going to start putting more stuff into bags at home, since it just works. A lot of Hong Kong dealers use cellophane or saran wrap, but these bags are a lot more convenient and easier to load and easier to open up and close back up versus unwrapping a cake and then wrapping it back up again. So yeah, I'm definitely bringing more of these bags home so I can store my tea in bags. So yeah, very complex sweet note that I don't remember ever getting from Dayi Show. Definitely putting stuff in bags. And this is ready to pour. So I'm losing heat here now because the water is cooling off. So this will be the last infusion. I might continue to drink off camera, but I'll end the video after this infusion. Plus, you guys will get bored if I keep drinking. People have short attention spans nowadays, and I know I do as well. Okay. Yeah, pleasant sweetness. I think that's still the last infusion, the last of the previous infusion. So some chocolate as well, which is pleasant. I'm not getting that almond note that I think I got last time, so that's a change. There was a definite almond note, I think. Now it's more like liquid chocolate brownie. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like drinking a brownie at this point. Without the sweetness, the overwhelming sweetness. And it's settling my tummy as well. So, excuse me. It's maybe the best session I've had on camera yet. I'm really enjoying this stuff. I do enjoy drinking show pu'er. I know some people don't, but I do. But as you know, I drink pretty much everything. So this is good stuff. It's night and day from my the last time I tried it. So the bag has made a huge difference. Definitely something to keep in mind. A lot of my stuff is in bags at the warehouse now. It's easier to keep everything together, and I don't have to worry about rewrapping the cake neatly and all that. And yeah, it does a good job of keeping the aroma in. Yeah, I'm kind of spaced out now. I'm kind of experiencing deja vu, where I'm kind of listening to myself from a distance. So it is dissociative. This is interesting. I'm getting a really powerful effect from this stuff, and that is something that I tend to get from a modern Dayi show, which surprises people who don't think show can do that. Very sweet and floral. Reminds me of certain shampoos, actually, but not in an unpleasant way, not in an artificial way. It's just floral notes that remind me of nice shampoo, of clean shampooed hair. It's got me thinking of my girlfriend now. Yeah, it's a pleasant smell, pleasant aroma. Very smooth and pleasant. Yeah, I definitely want to try this after a couple more years. Um, this is also the good thing about this. It means I can access all the teas in my cabinet, which is a good thing. But it's also a bad thing because it means I'm going to be drinking more of my personal teas versus letting them sit. So I'm probably going to run out of them faster unless I bring more tea home, which I'm kind of not supposed to do because I'm supposed to keep inventory at my business address. But nothing wrong with bringing a sample or two back to try. I just usually don't have time. I'm usually on the run and on the move and don't have time to bag myself up personal amounts. Very nice indeed. I enjoyed this session far more than I thought I would. Um, let's see how it's looking and smelling now. Still smells sweet and complex, so there's definitely more to give there. My body's very warm now too from drinking this stuff. So yeah, I really do enjoy well-aged, well-stored Daisho, and this is stored by me. When I got it, it definitely wasn't ready to drink, and now it very much is. So it's kind of satisfying to know my storage is working out well at home and at the warehouse. So yep, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed that, and feel free to ask me any questions you may have about tea or anything else for that matter. Really, anything you want, feel free to ask me. Thanks for watching.